Praise the Lord. Well, turn around to somebody. You have miracles coming your way. And welcome to our preparedness class. For those of you watching us online, the Lord bless you. And may you just be encouraged today. And we ask Holy Spirit to come and minister to us and help us in the precious and mighty name of Jesus. And everybody said, amen. Now, is Steve Pingley here? Is he? Oh, there you are. Very good. Thank you. Brother Steve is, I'm talking, and he's an electrician and a maintenance man and very, very gifted and helps us here a lot. You might, if maybe I didn't say something accurate or miss something, make a note or two so you can help inform me so I can make a correction, okay? Preparedness, making plans to go through some challenging times, particularly, if you'd turn me up just a little here, Oscar, in this monitor, related to weather challenges. And everybody said, amen. At homes today are very heavily dependent on electric grid for everything. And we want to be in a position where no matter what the situation is or what's at hand, that we can take care of our family, our responsibilities, and the needs of others. And everybody said, amen, thank you. I shared that being prepared during times of plenty prepares us for times of want or need or lack. When I grew up, we never discussed government conspiracies, etc. We were working, we were being productive and fruitful. I made the comment, Grandpa and Grandma were not paranoid, isolated survivalists. They learned how to be successful, take care of family, etc., irregardless of the situation. And particularly back in those days, the power grid, the telephone or the power lines that went through the trees, well, it wasn't the best system that there ever was. So we will be facing more and more storms. Matthew 24, Jesus tells us this. Before his return, there'll be more tornadoes. So I could say, listen, there's going to be more tornadoes, more hurricanes, etc., than we've seen before. Those records keep getting broken. And that's not a prophetic declaration. That's just what the Bible says. So we want to be safe. We want to prepare. Be prepared. Now, we're just taking small steps, sharing a little bit at a time. And don't be overwhelmed. And don't think, well, I have to have all this money at once. No, we're showing you very practical steps. So carbon monoxide alarms, fire alarms, knowing how to exit your home safely. We've begun with simple things, fire extinguishers in the house that can be very helpful for all of us, right? Right. And getting involved and getting some help from our local fire departments, and or if the fire department doesn't help with car seats for children, they'll teach you that and show you that at the hospital. So there's always help for us to be safe and to take care of ourselves and those we're responsible for. There are pieces of paper up here and online, as Pastor Tracy said, and there's some things that I've asked you to do. And so far, you're doing a good job, and you have asked me some very good questions. I think at the end of this session, I'll be able to answer some of those questions. And I have some feedback. Some people have purchased some of the cook stoves we recommended. We use those personally. I've used them for 55, 60 years. And we use those with our camping events for youth and or young adults. Now, I'm just showing you what I use. I'm just showing you what works for me. There are lots of options out there. So you can go online, you can study the options, you can spend a lot of time. I'm just showing you what I've used and what works real well for me in all these different settings. How's that sound? Yes, good. All right, you can talk to me a little bit now. This is a great big living room. I think what I'll do at first is I have a little video that Pastor Gary and I put together. After having learned some of the things I've learned over the last 3 months, And some of the things I have to share, I may redo the video, but nonetheless, it's a good start. All right? So while I'm talking, write down your questions. And when I get finished, you may want to ask some questions. It's okay. Questions are good. Don't be embarrassed to ask some questions. I've been asked some very good questions. One of the questions I've been asked by people that live in apartments is, and I've requested, well, get me some of the rules of where you live so I can see the rules and see if there are some other possibilities. But some people that live in apartments, they don't have a patio, they can't have a grill, they can't have a cook stove, they can't have fuel in the apartment, be it white gas, gasoline, or propane. So after having looked at some of those things, some can't have an open candle. Now you can create a very efficient heat system for your living area with a candle and clay pots and be very safe. It is an open flame, so you have to be careful if you have a pet or little children. Some places won't allow even an open flame. So I think after prayer and thought, I have two solutions for you. One, you need friends. Because in a time of trouble, you need to leave your house. You also need long underwear. I recommend dual fold. All right? They are very efficient. Usually one of them is silk. They're two different materials. You will need those for sure. And the second thing is consider moving. So I know that may not be possible right away, but I'm not going to live in a condition like that personally. In other words, you do have some choices to make. And as you look down the road, you may want to say, you know, I'm going to look for some other alternatives. There might be some alternatives. I'm sure there are, but there might not be. So you need some friends. Now, the best way to have a friend is to be friendly. And the most effective way to win people to Jesus is the way of love. And if your life in your community repels people, you're doing something wrong. Something needs to change. As I have been talking about this subject of preparedness, I take us back to this Proverbs 31 and verses 10 to 31. There's 21 verses here that are amazing in regards to preparedness. And this psalm is not only about women, it very much is for men and women, the entire body of Christ. And the wisdom that this virtuous woman demonstrated in all areas of food, of feeding her family, of preparedness in every area, clothing, quality of cloth, and what different qualities of cloth do, the ability to buy, sell, and trade, which Jesus told the church. He said, now you occupy until I come back. That word occupy means buy, sell, and trade. So the enemy, the spirit of the Antichrist, wants to stop everything he can from entrepreneurship, buying, selling, and trading. But even if powers that be make that difficult, we want to obey Jesus and apply what Jesus tells us to do. All right? I have had people tell me, communicate with me from other nations. They're watching this as well. Some of the things I'm recommending may not be possible for them, but they do have similar situations in their countries, many of them. But yet the concept of being prepared is biblical no matter where we live. And God has a way. So recently, when we were on Zoom, ministering to an apostle that is related to 2,000 churches that are really under his direction, that nation is facing complete financial collapse. So their money is of no value, and they're facing famine. So we did a walk through the Word and how the church throughout the book of Acts, sharing Christ, sharing the gospel as a priority, irregardless of all the opposition. prospered and was blessed. So let's grab a hold of that and know no matter what the situation, when we apply the principles of God's words by faith, it moves us into a good position. All right, now we're going to start tonight. We're talking about generators. Now for some of you, maybe I might as well be talking about a rocket ship. But this is simple, and you can understand it, and you can learn. So don't be overwhelmed with it. Just realize, oh, okay, that's how that works. So far, so good. And you can begin to power the necessary things in your house to get by for a long time with quality of life at a very minimal expense and a minimal effort. And it's very practical. So we just ask the Lord to remove any fears or condemnation or in any way being hard on yourself or judgmental, and just realizing, well, this is pretty simple and I can do this. I personally have lived through ice storms and storms where we had no power from the power grid for 21 days. I spent 21 days taking care of my family, all our cattle, and many neighbors and people in the body of Christ. We coordinated with men who could help us. When the ice storm was coming, I went to a region with no ice and I got generators. I took chainsaws, sledgehammers, chains, etc., so I could get back because of down power lines, down trees, etc. And we were watering people's cattle. We were taking care of refrigerators and freezers and helping people with heat. And we helped a lot of people. So it was a very precious time to take resources during times of plenty and help people in time of need. Welcome to the kingdom of God. I actually drove several miles, about 90 miles, and gathered generators from friends that weren't going to need them, so I could take them into areas where they did need them. All right, so are we ready for this video? Yes? Let's go ahead and show it, and then I'll go from there, all right? All right, this is Pastor Jeff Johns. Welcome to our preparedness classes. And this session, we're going to be talking about generators and using generators in your house in the event that the power grid system is down, whether it be for a day or, in my case, I've had power gone, absent, grids down for up to 21 days when we lived in the country on the farm. This system of generator that works with your fuse box is very good. You can also use other generators that are smaller. You can plug your refrigerator or freezer directly into those to use that generator to run various things in your household one at a time. But this system works very well. For approximately $700, you can have a unit with your fuse box so that when you open it up, you can flip a switch. This system is called an interlock. Our electrician did all of this for approximately $700. You simply flip the switch over, turn this over, and tighten the screws. The reason you need this system is so when you're using a generator to power your house, the electricity cannot go backwards and injure or kill someone that's working on the line for the power company. Then once you have turned this off, secured this switch so it can't be removed by tightening these 3 screws, then you can turn off all your fuses. All of mine are labeled so I know what each fuse runs. And then you can run things one at a time or a few things at a time. I could run lights and do laundry. We could run lights and run the well. We could do lights and run the microwave, but you can't do everything at once. Your electrician can help tell you how big a generator you may want. We're recommending one for $999. You can go to a link to find that information, and then you can talk to an electrician to work on this kind of system. It's very easy, it's very handy, and you can save money over a period of time and run your household for a long time. Your electrician can help you label your fuses and label the box. A very simple process, and you can even cover it up. As you can see, my mom made us a very nice cover. So when we're enjoying our garage with all the grandchildren, you can't tell where my fuse box is. Pastor Gary picked this up earlier at Big Box Store, and this is called a transfer switch. This can be installed by electrician. This includes everything, the cord, the exterior outlet that will connect to your generator, and how to use this. The instructions are there. We recommend you have a professional electrician do the work with the fuse box and the cord and making it compatible with the generator that you purchase. This is approximately $299. Now let's go outside and look at the generator. This generator is gasoline powered. Pastor Gary and I recommend, and you will see a link, a dual fuel generator. For most people, that is the best situation. The generators I have are all gasoline, but my situation's a little bit different. As we travel to job sites, we have access to a lot of fuel. It'd be very easy for you as a homeowner to have a generator that would run off of propane bottles. This one runs off of gasoline. Once your electrician has set the unit up inside the home, which you saw earlier, and once the power has been shut off and the switch has been moved to run with your generator, and that will cost you approximately $700 to fix the unit inside your home and to have an outlet. This is the cord we use. We've plugged it into the generator, and the electrician made this for me. Turn it, insert it, turn it just a little bit, let the lid down. Now we're hooked to the generator and we're hooked to the house. Works really well. Your electrician can help you so that you have enough voltage and wattage from your generator. This is 7,500 watts. It's a 30 amp fuse, and it has a surge starting power of 9375 watts. It can run anything in my house. You cannot run everything at once, but as I showed you earlier, you can shut off all the power, switch over to a generator, and run things independently. If you need water, you can turn the fuse on and run water. If you need your furnace, if you need other things in your house, washer, dryer, you can run them separately, as well as some of your lights. You can't do everything at once, but you can last a long time. This generator, full of fuel, will burn approximately 8 hours. When I use it or need it, and I have needed it before in the past because of ice storms, for 21 days. I don't have to run it all day and all night. I just run it periodically, keep the refrigerator cool, to keep the freezer frozen, to run the furnace occasionally to warm up the house, and use our Mr. Buddy heaters where we are, in bathrooms, in kitchen, or where there's people. Works really well that way, and your fuel supply will last a lot longer. This cord, the electrician set this up. I have different generators with different wattage and different amperage. So the cords are slightly different. I have the cords labeled to go with the generator. In the past, in ice storms, we've been able to go from household to household and help people keep refrigerators going, keep the furnace warm, as well as in the country where you have a well system with a pump, we can run the pumps, run water for people as well as animals. So this cord, very simply, plugs in right here, 120, 240. It's 4-prong. One of them has a L shape with it, and it matches like this, and you turn it, and there you go. This is also electric start, which we're recommending when you get your generator, electric start. As Pastor Gary and I looked at them today, you'll see on the link, $999. I believe it was 10,000 watts with a lot of power to start things, and it'll run on propane or fuel. We recommend that you run it with propane. Don't even use it with fuel unless you need to. This, very simply, we turn the gas on, we turn the choke on. It's electric start. Very simple. Turn on the gas, turn on the choke, push the button. And turn it off. Now, what we like to do when we're done using it, the way fuel is today, and it can gum up a carburetor, it should not be in the carburetor. more than a week or two. So we recommend that when you're done, you turn the gas off and let the generator continue to run until after you've shut the fuel off and the fuel gets out of the carburetor. That way you can store it, not have to be concerned about it. You'll notice that we have a cord. We're approximately 25, 30 feet from the house. You'll want your cord 25 to 50 feet long so you can keep the generator away from the house, keep the fumes away from the house. If the weather is bad, snow, rain, etc., I have a few fence posts. I'll put 4 fence posts around it. I have a couple pieces of plywood that I'll wire to the side and one that I'll wire on the top. Keeps the weather off of it, keeps the rain off of it. It's very simple. If you don't know where the lines are for your house, be sure to call before you dig. They will show you where the lines are. I know there's nothing right here. We've already dug, we've already tested. So we put the posts in, put a little bit of plywood next to it, wire it, and put a lid on top of it. Keeps snow off, keeps the rain off, makes it easier for you. Still leaves me room to fill this with fuel, or if you have one that runs with propane, to change your tanks out. I hope you find this helpful. It's really quite simple. Don't let it be confusing. Just ask some questions, watch the video, contact an electrician, and they will put in an interlock system in your fuse box. Electricity goes off, hit one switch, flip it over and lock it, so it saves lives and protects people that are working downline for the power company. Turn off all the fuses, go outside, fire up your generator after you've plugged the cord in on both ends to the generator in the house. Then come inside and run some of your fuses. Turn them on. They will already have been pre-labeled. It's very simple and very safe. God bless you, and be at peace and be blessed and be prepared for whatever may come to us down the road. God bless you. All right. Well, that was better than I remembered. I'm going to give myself an A for that one. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to make a few comments and we'll show you a few things, and then you can ask me some questions, all right? Much up and coming technology for alternative sources of power are becoming more and more available. Here, I'll take that right here, Pastor. I'll just hang on to it right here. Thank you. And, but I'm not going to recommend any of those. Those are a lot of expense, and that will improve, no doubt, and become less expensive down the road. So they're all a bit pricey. They're being developed, renewable energy, etc. So an option, a very good one from my point of view, is what I call affordable generators. A generator, which we have 3 here. Pastor Gary, would you roll that one over and just set that stuff off and take that cover off for me? I've had this generator for close to 35 years. It still works. It's extremely efficient and does a very good job. It's a Kubota. It's 4,500 watts. This one's 7,500, and Pastor Gary has one on the end. You can turn that around so they can see it. That one I put on a cart. 2 people can easily move that generator. It probably weighs 150 pounds. This one has a handle and it has wheels. So I can just raise it up and pull it around very easily. It's heavier than this. A generator is a machine that mechanically changes and creates electric energy. So it runs with the motor. These are gasoline, but the ones we'll show you in a little bit can also be propane. Probably we would recommend for most people propane, because you can buy the cylinders and run it. When you use propane, you produce less watts than if you use gasoline. But gasoline today can be a bit finicky and gum up carburetors if it sits very long. So you want to use, help me with the word here, Gary, a gas treatment product like Stayville, is that? And you can pour it in there. It helps preserve the quality of gas. But I showed you When you get done using that thing, turn the gas off, let the gas burn out the carburetor so it does not gum up. All right, this generator will run my whole house. But if I'm running my air conditioner, I could not run my dryer at the same time. So I could rotate and alternate, which I showed you. Also, when we recommend some of these generators, we'll tell you where you can get them. We have found them a little cheaper than the one I was suggesting. You can buy smaller ones that are not as heavy, easier to maneuver if you're a smaller person or you ladies. And you can actually get 2 or 3 and plug them into one another and still run your house. So it's lighter, it's easier, and the smaller the generator, the less expensive, generally speaking. Usually, they run on gasoline or propane. Now, this produces carbon monoxide. Say it with me. It produces carbon monoxide. That's one reason why when I began, and you're talking about preparedness and cooking food and etc., you want to make sure there's oxygen in your house and that it's safe, right? So when you run that, you saw on the video, I use a 25-foot cord. It's recommended by some people, the generator's 10 feet from the house, and some people 20. I prefer 20. Keep it away from your home. Do not put it inside your garage and run it. It will eventually produce a poison that this temple can't live with, carbon monoxide. And you don't want that in your garage, and you do not want that in your house. So move it away from the house. I like to have the exhaust point away from the house and away from your neighbor's house. So it's less noisy for you or your neighbors, but it's also safer for everybody to point away from where people live. Got that so far? Never use it indoors. Now, I showed you a picture and a box. Those were 2 different types of power transfer switches. But they both work. And I recommend that a licensed electrician installs it for a lot of reasons. And of course, that's all I can recommend. Each item in your house uses watts. And your cook stove, your dryer, electric dryer, your refrigerator, your freezer, your toaster will tell you how many watts. A little electric heater is usually 1,500 to 2,000 watts. So you can only run as you add those up, the watts in the appliance and the draw on the generator. Did I say that fair? Okay. You may need a special permit to store large quantities of gasoline or propane. To my knowledge, we do not. But those folks that sell the product, we do not where we live. But the people that sell the products, bulk gasoline, bulk propane, they can tell you the rules for where you live. So you can obey those rules. Now, as I showed you with the bottles of propane that you use on a grill, or that you can refill the small canisters for your cook stove, your lights and lanterns and things, I keep several of those outside in a shed, probably 10 of them. Now, there are 2 ways to use your generator, generally speaking. Number 1, you can use a small generator. I think you can buy those like 1,000 watt, 1,500 watts. They're little, easy to carry. You can use a small generator with a good quality extension cord that's a heavy enough gauge, the wires are thick enough, that you could run a freezer, you could run a refrigerator. For a long time, when my parents lived near Charleston, we had set up a system so that I could have a small generator outside And I had a hole in a door with a trap on it. So you could open it, put cords through it, run the freezer, run the refrigerator. They had the Mr. Buddy heaters and others that ran on propane. They had a wood stove, but also the electrician set the furnace up so that it could be plugged and unplugged and plugged right into a generator to run the furnace. So you can use some extension cords, buy a less expensive, and run your refrigerator and run your freezer and run a furnace with a little effort from an electrician. Did that sound accurate, Steve? And that electrician can help you too. You want to run a heavy gauge cord and not use an inexpensive, cheap cord to run those appliances, okay? The second way you can use that generator is what I showed you by powering a circuit panel using a power transfer switch. Mine, you turn the breaker off at the top, and you saw me do it. That stops the power from coming into my house from the power company. You put that switch in place and tighten those screws so that power cannot come into that house. Then you go outside and plug the cord in to the house and to the generator. And then you start the generator, then you can go in the house and turn on the breakers you want. I can run all my breakers at once in my whole house, except I should not run the dryer if I'm running the air conditioner. It's too much wattage. Did I say that right, Gary? Now, the way I have my generator set up, and I would recommend this. Pastor Gary, would you hand me the other end of that, please? This end goes in the generator. So I can actually plug this into the generator, which we call a male end. And this attaches to the house or a camper or some other tools. This particular one is 220 on 30 amp. That is 220 on 20 amp. It's a slightly different cable, a slightly different plug. That's why I have two different cables for two different generators. I recommend that any cord you use out of a generator has one male plug that goes in a generator. So if that generator's running, if it had two male ends, if you touched it, it would kill you. It's 220 volts. If you were wet, it would kill you. If you were dry, it would probably kill you. You do not want 240 volts touching you. Thus, everything in my house and all the tools I use are male into the generator and female in, so it's safe. The only way, you'd have to stick something in there and short it out on you. So I recommend this type of system. You saw the outlet on my house. The prongs were inside that box. I don't mess with it. When I plug my camper in at the campground, I turn the breaker box off. Plug everything in, turn the breaker on. That's the safest way to deal with it. Okay? So far, so good? All right. I'll keep going with my list. We may get out early tonight. Depends on how many questions you have. Generator. Always consult the owner's manual for detailed instructions. I'm supposed to say that. I don't know that I've ever read a generator manual, but somewhere in my life, someone taught me. Men hardly read anything ever, right, ladies? See there? I do recommend you get professional license. I said it several times, so I'm going to repeat it. It's simple. It's inexpensive. It's worth every penny. Again, keep the generator outside, minimum 10 feet, and I recommend 20, so I use 25 and 30-foot cords. Now, I did not mention this in the video, but to refuel a generator. Now, I said my generator would run about 8 hours on a full tank of gas under a heavy load. However, I could run that generator for days We had a cook stove. We could run the lights, the refrigerator, and the freezers. It would run a long time because it's a light load. A long time. That generator will run, it holds 7 gallons of fuel. It will run 12 hours at half capacity. Now, when it runs out, it usually, there's gauges on them. But if it runs out while you're using it, or if you turn it off to fill it up, do not refuel it when it's hot. Grab a hold of that. You don't refuel a motor like this, not even your lawnmower that has an engine with the gas next to it. Let it cool off. And don't refill that generator with gasoline in the presence of any type of open flame or heater. All right? Let's say it. We got it, because that's all explosive. Do not store fuel containers near the generator or near the heater. Anything near that exhaust is going to get hot. So when I use that, we had a blizzard, we've had rain, etc. I just put down 4 fence posts. I put down 4 pieces of plywood. I try to keep that plywood about 5 feet from that muffler, and above it, so it doesn't get hot, it doesn't set anything on fire, and it's safe. I can easily turn it off or turn it on, and if I want to fuel it up, I can shut it off, let it cool down, fuel it up, take the gas away, and start it. All right. Use fuel, Stavell, I think is what, or others. You can Google that online. I've seen research on 5 different types. You can put it in the fuel. It helps the fuel's chemical substance keep from weakening, degrading, and being less effective. All right? I showed you earlier on these types of things, snow blowers, mowers. If you're not going to use it for a week or two, I let it run and shut the gas off until all that gas out of that carburetor so it doesn't gum up. Fuel did not used to do that, but it does now. You saw Pastor Gary take that cover off that generator. I've had that generator cover for 35 years, and it's still in great shape, keeps it protected when I transport, etc. Some generators have a tent canopy type system that you can buy to put on it. They say it works good up to a certain amount of wind. I've never had one. I don't know. But you can buy a cover which keeps it drier. It looks to me like a waste of money, but you can decide that on your own. You can put it under a carport if need be. All right, when you get your generator hooked up and you get a power transfer switch hooked up, I would recommend, while that electrician's there, you do a trial run. So you kill the power, plug the units in, start the generator. Well, you kill the power, turn off all your breakers, which I demonstrated, plug it in and start it, and then turn your generator, I say fuses, but technically those are breakers, correct? Well, us older folks came out of a day when we had the fuses that actually screwed in. We don't have those anymore. Technically, I should be saying the breaker. All right? Do a test run so you feel confident and make yourself a few notes. Remember, plug cords in first, then start the generator. Also, depending on the wattage of use in your house, probably almost all of us could get by with a 7,500 watt portable generator. You can spend more money for a permanently installed generator, and I think most of those, they're far more expensive, and they run once a month automatically. They will shut your house off, generator will start, and then the house will be powered by the generator, if I understand correctly. But those can cost a lot of money. I'm not recommending it for the majority of us. You can also use this generator for a lot of other things. Now, today's world, where we have so many tools that are powered with batteries that you charge, you don't need electric cords near as much for jobs today as what we used to. But I can take these and use them in a lot of situations. It's very helpful for me in a lot of building situations or camping situations. When we took all the kids to the mountains, how many of you went on a mountain trip with us? Raise your hand. We took this. We ran our own refrigerators. We ran our own freezers. We had all our own food with us for all of us. There'd be 39 of us, I think, at a time, And we had everything right there in that trailer. We ran that generator. And the parks we stayed in would allow a generator so many hours a day. Now, I also recommend, I do not have a picture of one, and I did not show you one in the video, but I keep my generators that are electric start plugged into a battery tender. So that battery tender will help that battery stay charged, and it will multiply the months or years of usage of that battery. It helps prolong the battery. It's very simple. Probably $25, $30 to buy a really good battery tender to keep those charged up. I recommend a battery tender for all batteries in all mowers, etc. It's worth the money. It adds to the longevity of your battery. All right. Never backfeed. That means to take a cord and plug it in that generator, change the end and plug it into an outlet in your house. I've never read a manual, but I'm certain it'll tell you don't ever do that. All right. Avoid that. Remember to keep clearance from around that so it doesn't overheat. Keep the exhaust away from you, your house, and your neighbors. Use good heavy cords if you use a small generator to run your refrigerator. You may think, well, spending $1,000 or $1,700 is a lot of money. It is, but you can set a goal, and over time, 1 year, 3 years, you can have something that will run your house and keep you going in the event of a difficult situation. But I will tell you this. Even if you get a small generator, which is only a few $100s, and some good extension cords to run your freezer, your refrigerator, and your furnace, that cost is far less than repairing frozen pipes that busted. It's also far less than your food spoiling in the freezer and the refrigerator. So for a little effort and some good containers to store gas or propane, you can, in the long run, save a lot of money. All right. Again, if I have some buddy heaters, if I have a little cook stove, that will run a long time for lights, refrigerator, and freezer, meaning several days on one tank of fuel. All right. Now, I don't have these numbers in front of me, but Pastor Gary can probably help me with this from memory, or he may have written it down. But a refrigerator, modern refrigerators will stay cool, means below 40 for 4 to 6 hours. If your refrigerator is above 40 very long, you probably will need to throw some things out. And of course, it'll stay cooler if you keep the door shut. So little things do make a difference. A modern freezer will keep food frozen for 18 to, was it 30 hours, Pastor Gary? I believe it was 18 to 30 hours. A good thing to do in your freezer is to have a cup of water, let it freeze, and put a quarter on top. And so if it thaws, that quarter won't be on top, right? It'll be somewhere in the cup, maybe at the bottom. Well, This has not had electricity for a long time, so you need to be careful protecting your food. All right. I think I've covered everything. I think I've covered everything on my notes related to this. So Pastor Gary has a microphone, and we have some pictures. Would you have them post those pictures for us, please? So we're going to show you a few generators. This Champion, which is what I think Pastor Gary's is on the end, now leave that on a while, can be bought at Rural King. I'm not making any money selling these. Okay? I'm recommending Rural King, Menards, Sam's, some of these places. They're close by. You have a good warranty, and it's easy to get something replaced. This is a 750 watt generator, but when things start, they require more watts. So it's like a 375 watt to jumpstart something. All right, the next one is a Westinghouse, I believe. Show me next, yeah. This is a very good and highly, you can go online, like some of the best generators. This, I believe, falls under that category. You could get it at Walmart. It was $949 when Pastor Gary and I looked at it. They're a little cheaper at Sam's, we have come to find out. You can buy them gasoline and you can buy them propane. These generators will run 200 amp breaker boxes and will serve most people very well. You can also buy them. We have a man in the church that has an injured back. So he bought 2 or 3 smaller ones. They will connect and add up. It's much lighter. It's easier for him to transport. If you have any questions about anything I'm teaching, call Pastor Martha. All right? We'll show you, and Pastor Gary I've never used a propane one, but he's recommending that to avoid carburation problems, jets in carburetors getting plugged up, and being able to store 20-pound bottles of propane and interchange those. You can interchange them all over town. We showed you where you could do that. You could have them refilled at places in town. Even if the power grid's off, you can still get propane. So, and they'll run a long time, and that runs your grills if you have a grill. How many of you have a grill? Take a note there, Gary. We have a lot of places we could show up. All right, we have a couple cords to show you. These are heavy duty. Like if you have a small one, you want to run your refrigerator, your freezer, or maybe your furnace. These are good heavy cords. These are, the numbers are there, the prices are there. We have one more. Let's take a look at it. All right. Different outlets on there do different things. So if you are going to go directly to a small generator, you want to go to the 110, not the 240. Small generators probably don't provide 240s, do you know? Most of the small ones just do 110. Do not plug your 110 refrigerator into a 220 volt outlet. It'll go zzz. Go ahead and tell somebody that doesn't work. That's like getting on the prayer line when Pastor Ignacio's going down it. All right. Pastor Gary, do you think I need to say anything else? Did I miss anything? How about you, Steve? Thank you. All right, so I'll give you an opportunity. We have about 15 more minutes. We'll come up afterwards and you can look, you can ask questions. That kit that I showed you at Pastor Gary, I think it was $279. That had cords. It had everything in it that you need for your house. All right? I had my electrician make mine and get me set. All right. Anybody have any questions? You can raise your hand. Yes, sir. Stand up and just talk real loud. And I don't think we'll need a mic because I'll repeat your question. How long can you store propane? I think you could keep that bottle of propane till Jesus comes back, and I think that's going to be quite a while. We're ready for him any day. That's our job, Matthew 24. But I don't know. I indefinitely. All right? Yes? They look just like it. This yellow one is a propane one. And it has, just like on your grill, when you hook a bottle to your grill, it has a hose like that. You can come up afterwards and Pastor Gary will show you. In fact, why don't you just hold it up for him? Not the generator, but the cord. So you take the bottle and you just screw it on just like you would your grill. Okay? All right? It takes right off and runs on that propane bottle. Just great. Okay? Yes, sir. Yeah, you want to keep them level. That's the problem down in Tennessee where Pastor Gary came from. That's why he carries blocks with his to prop one end up. Takes several blocks down there in Tennessee to keep that thing level. Yes, you do want them level. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir. All right, anybody else? Any other questions related to, yes? How much fuel to keep on hand? Well, this will run 12 hours at half capacity. I probably could run this all day on 7 gallons. So I can store 800. I would only be able to last about 110 days. The rest of you, if you just have to do the math. And so like you could figure 7 gallons a day probably. And 10 days, 70 gallons, or 3 days. And I have gas cans I recommend. I'll bring some next time. They're very safe. They transport really nice. They hold 2.5 gallons. So, you know, you had 5 or 6 of those, you could go several days. I don't know how long they run on a cylinder of propane, do you? A little bit longer. And they do produce less carbon monoxide. So like on our forklift, when we worked in the factory, those were all propane. So we could work indoors and be very safe. You should not use gasoline with ethanol if you store it. I do, but I keep moving it and replacing it and I treat it. It'll last me a long time with no problems. The potency of the gasoline will deteriorate if you store it a long time, without additive. Did I say that right? All right. So if you had 7 or 8 of those 20-pound bottles, which we said you could buy them for $49, that's the exchange. That's the bottle and the gas. And then when it gets empty, take it to a refill place. And we recommended some Ace, Tractor Supply, Marathon Station, and some others. You actually get more fuel for less dollars. Okay? And it'll last indefinitely. One reason I like the exchange, if the cylinder date expires, you can exchange it. You don't have to pay to have it tested. You don't have to pay to get it upgraded. They just take it. They do all that themselves. Okay? You'll have less problems with the bottles and you can use it more often. You can store it longer if you have a place to put it outdoors in a shed. That really is convenient. All right? I'd like to be able to run, 7, 8, 9 days if I could. And mine are all gas. This is, I think, $1,000. I paid $300 for it. I bought it used. In the past, I've gone to areas where they had ice storms in the summer and bought them at garage sales for 20, 30 cents on a dollar. So I could have bought 3 of these from a lady the other day for $1,200. They were in real good shape. So you can hunt and find a bargain. All right, anyone else? Man, that's awesome. Any questions to any of the other classes we taught? Nope. Yes, ma'am. Just to have lights, I would just get a battery-powered light. Yeah. But I like the little generator and extension cord, and I use those a lot, and Mom and Dad used them a lot too. That takes care of my refrigerator and my freezer and keeps my furnace going. So that's everything after that's pretty easy, and that's not very expensive. Everybody got that? That's a simple solution. And you can run a box. You can have a box in your house that has a lid. You can run the extension cords through that and shut it. And so rodents don't get in, or heat and water, etc. It's safe. And you can just run the freezer, the fridge, and if you have Mr. Buddy, you're staying warm, or you could hook up your furnace. Did you have another question? It'll come back later. Remember, call 911 Martha. Yes, sir. Inverter generator, same thing. Inverter generator will work just as well. An inverter generator is more commonly for an RV, but they will work just fine. They're more quiet, and they're very efficient. Did I say that right? And they're light because they're used for RVs. So I have a 3,500 watt, that'll 30 amp. It'll run everything in my camper. It'll run everything in my house. All right? And they have surge protectors. They have surge protectors. So that's helpful. You help me out here, some of you computer type people, electronic type people. But if you have a power outage, shouldn't we unplug our computers and TVs and things? Brownout. Yeah. Just unplug all that, transfer everything in and plug it in. But the inverter has a surge protector in it. That helps protect our campers so that it doesn't fry the panel on the inside. Oftentimes at campgrounds, you can have surges. They're oftentimes not wired as well as homes. So that inverter is very helpful with a surge protector. I recommend a surge protector if you plug a camper in anywhere, that you plug that into the box, plug your camper into the surge protector. Did I say that right, Steve? Yep. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, very good. He said he has neighbors that had medical devices, and they fixed their house up like mine in that picture because they had to have it, and it was easy and took care of their medical needs, right? Did I say what you said properly? All right. Did I see another hand? All right. Then I'm going to close in prayer, and you folks can come up here and take a look, and we'll move forward. Pretty simple, eh? Oh, another thing I do, I did not show it here on the video. I have a cable, 30, 40-foot cable with padlocks. I lock mine to a post. Because sometimes generators walk. I chained my bicycle too. I put a sign on it. My wife will shoot you. Leave my generator alone. All right. I think that covers it. Let's all stand together. I have really enjoyed this. I hope you folks have too. And I think, you know, peace of mind's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Praise the Lord. All right, and see a young man back there in the back asking me about inverters. Come on up here a little bit. I have a couple questions for you when we get done here. So, Lord, thanks for today. We're not fearful. We just want to be prepared to take care of our needs in time of some problems where grids have fallen down. And we want to be able to help other people, feed our neighbors, help our neighbors, be a blessing in time of trouble. And we just ask you to bring peace to us. In Jesus' name, everybody said, amen. All right. So you've got time. You can make a plan. And I'm going to continue to do this once a month for quite a while. Food, water, vehicles, lots of things that I think you will find helpful. All right? Just to get us through normal, everyday life in the event a storm throws something at us that we're ready. God bless you. You're free to go. If you need prayer for anything, let us know. As pastors, we'll pray with you. Come on up, take a look, ask questions. Pastor Gary's here. Steve, if you want to come help us. God bless you all. See you later. As we come to the conclusion of our service, hey, thank you for joining us, being online with us. We so enjoy you being a part in our relationship and being a part of what God is doing. We consider it an honor. We thank the Lord has given us opportunity to share what's happening here at Whitehorse with all of you wherever you are. I want to encourage you and remind you, if you would like to give, there are different ways to give. You can give online, WHCC.net. You can give by phone by calling the church, 765-477-1111, or you can come by and give in person. Your giving helps us maintain, sustain, and continue the work of the gospel and reaching out to the nations. Be sure to tithe your local church. Be a blessing to your pastors, your elders, and your leaders. Send your testimonies to us, please. We love to hear your testimonies and share them. My testimony at WHCC.net. Be sure to pray with one another as we've come to conclusion. Let the theme of the message today and what Holy Spirit is doing be joined with faith, that you might move forward in the power of the Holy Spirit and be blessed. Thank you for our relationship. Thanks for all you've done to help us carry out the vision. God bless you.